Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Matthew back with another episode of Watty's channel. Today, we're going to be talking about what happened to eBay in 2022. I really wish that was a rhetorical question, guys, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, it just seems like when the calendar switched over to the new year, eBay has just gotten so ridiculously horrible. And I pretty much live on eBay for the most part. I both buy and sell on the platform. And, I talked about last year when I came home after I got injured. I finally decided to create an eBay account. And I probably had a couple in the past, but I don't remember those passwords or anything. So I did create a whole new eBay account, created my own little store, whatnot. And I was finally able to, start listing a bunch of, all my excess military gear. And for like the last 10, 11 years, I've been talking about wanting to clear space and sell that stuff. And I never did. When I came home after I got injured, I finally had the time, the freedom to actually, do things like, getting rid of, clearing space of all my excess gear. And, overall, in the beginning, it was just mostly just to sell. I really had no intentions on being a buyer, at least, not a substantial buyer. And I started turning, pretty good profits, I guess, for the most part, on the platform. So I started buying things that, interested me, things that, I really wouldn't have otherwise purchased for myself. And overall, the experience was, overall pretty positive. As either buyer or seller, for the most part, my transactions or my interactions with customers or with my sellers was always a really positive experience. And me being the type of person I am, I don't like leaving negative feedback for people. Even if the product I purchase isn't up to par, I don't want to be that guy to leave negative feedback for people. I don't like doing returns or anything like that. Most of the time, I kind of feel like if I buy something and it's not what I wanted, I kind of like shoulder the blame. Like maybe I should have done a better job researching the product or something. So, that's another reason I kind of don't like, doing returns, anything like that. But I swear to God, 2022 has been an absolute nightmare dealing with eBay. And not so much, customer service or anything like that. I mean, those folks are absolutely great. But is it just me, or does, sellers just not care anymore? Uh, I wrote down a list here of some of the examples. And, I'll talk about one of the things that got me more recently. So, recently, I spent probably close to $1,000 on at a company called Collector's World. And, after, combining shipping stuff, that probably dropped the price to $700-800. But when you shell out close to $1,000 at a store, I don't care if it's someone like me, someone who's just selling stuff that's around the house, or if you're a legitimate brick and mortar business. When someone spends a ton of money at your shop, you definitely want to make sure that, that you have that rapport built with that customer. And that way they become repeat customers. And with this business, Collector's World, you would think that with the name Collectors in its title, that they would actually be more open to the idea of collectability for products. So when you spend that type of money, obviously you want them to take great care as how they package your product. I bought from them several times before. I consider myself a huge buyer at their shop. And when I got my package, a few weeks ago, well, maybe not a few weeks, probably a couple weeks ago, it all came in one box, which was, great, help on shipping costs. But then, what happens? I pull out, package after package after package, probably 24 packages in there. I think 3 of them actually managed to be in satisfactory shape. The rest of them, creases in the boxes, bubbles busted off, had to tape everything up. It was just an absolutely horrible experience. Another one I buy from consistently, this store has Z's in their names, not S's. Toys, Comics, Cards. That's the name of the store. Again, won about two dozen auctions, spent close to $1,000 on their shop. And when I finally get my package in, everything is just thrown into the box. Nobody laid down, any newspaper or anything to protect the bottom or top. When you open it up with a knife or something, you risk cutting open the package or the product, and there was no protection. Everything was just loose figures, just thrown in there, nothing shrink wrapped, just not a care in the world. Oddly enough, about a week or so later, I bought a couple Galoob Sting figures, one of the orange hands and the black hands, and it cost me a little over $60+ purchase price. And they threw some, like, I don't know, construction paper or something over it, which is a whole lot better than nothing at all, like the previous one. But it's just one of those things where I've been a repeat customer and I've constantly left them positive feedback, and I hate myself for doing that for a lot of these stores because the experience was very underwhelming. I mentioned Shits and Grins, the guys I bought my AWA Remcos from. Gave me a great price. Love his shop, actually. He's got so many incredible items. I just wish he kind of did a better job as far as actually sticking the bubbles to the cards so that everything wasn't falling apart. Not saying any of these shops I wouldn't go back to again. I definitely will, and I have, even after the negative experiences. It's just, a couple of those sellers that I mentioned that I feel like in 2022, eBay sellers just don't care anymore. Either the service is just really bad, or, the care that they give to your packaging is just terrible. And, I have a set description. So anytime I get a package in, I'll leave positive feedback. I pretty much say the exact same thing in every feedback. And occasionally, if it's someone that I buy from on a consistent basis, or if they went above and beyond, I'll kind of create a separate type of feedback for them. Let them know my appreciation. So one of the reasons why I made this video is a recent purchase I made from Crem's Closet. And I bought from Crem's Closet a lot in the past. This one, I bought a couple customs. So obviously custom, it's not, you're not expecting the world, but you at least expect the product to be in, sufficient shape. And one of those customs was a Big Josh Galoob figure. Paid about $100 some for it, which, it looks nothing like the original. I saw the picture of the original and I compared the figure, and obviously there is difference, but it's a Josh figure I can add there. I'm not paying $300 for an original right now. At some point, maybe, but so I was happy with that. But then I also paid, all close to $100 for a 1-2-3 Kid custom. It's a custom. I'm not expecting the world from it, but I am expecting a little bit better than this. And for whatever reason, they did this really shoddy job of attaching this green gunk. I don't know if that's glue or what that's supposed to be to keep the head on. I'm like, you guys, at least state in your listing, hey, broken head, or we had to glue the head on something. And I don't know what this is all about. I have literally never seen anybody use a magnet to hold up the arm. And it's this type of deal where you barely tap it and the arm pops off anyway. So this was an absolutely horrible purchase. And with all of the purchases that I made, spending all this money, and as a buyer and as a collector, condition obviously is really important, but when someone's not, wrapping your products, and I'm not talking about taking shrink wrap, wrapping this thing a million times, and then throwing 10 pounds of packing tape over it, because I hate that too, because you're spending more time trying to rip that thing open or cut it open, risk damaging the figures inside or the boxes inside than you are, and for me, if I had a figure like this and I was shipping this to somebody, wrap it up in shrink wrap, spin it around a few times, throw it in a box. I probably wouldn't even put tape on it. Why? Because I want the buyer to be able to, easily access the figure as soon as they open it up. And that's really all you need. And again, when you get junk like this, you sometimes you just gotta call some folks out, and you read the reviews. I really don't ever buy into the reviews because I might shop at a store 1,000 times and have 1,000 positive experiences, and someone else might shop there one time and have a negative experience, and they're talking about how criminal or how terrible the shop is, and you know, I think it's unfair. Like I said, Krem's Closet, I purchased a ton from them in the past, and when I get this type of quality in return, it's just a slap in the face. Me, I always say I'm willing to work with my buyers as a seller, and like if I've got an item and I'm selling it for $30, and someone comes in with an offer of $20 because they don't want to pay the $10 shipping on it, I might say, okay, what, pay the $30. I'll give you free shipping. I'll cover the $10 ship expense on that. And I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still only getting $20 profit, so it's not like I'm actually making money by doing that. But again, it's one of those things where I'm willing to work with my buyers, if they show interest. Sometimes you'll reach out to a buyer, be like, hey, you got this price listed. I'm comfortable paying this. Are you comfortable accepting this type of offer? And you put out this whole list of things that reasons why you want to pay that price, whatever, and they come back with these one word responses. No, I hate that. That is so frustrating. So one of the Doink figure, I think, from my Jack Specific Superstars collection, someone was selling it for like $60. I came in with an offer of like, I think 45, 48, something like that. She responded, that she was selling it for someone else, and with free shipping, she wouldn't get the profits back that she needed, especially after eBay takes their fee out, etc. Really, that's all it took. A simple explanation about why she couldn't meet me, even halfway or anything, and I understood the situation, especially as a seller myself, and I went in, I purchased the price at full asking price. But when people come in at like one word responses, no, and don't give you an explanation, aren't willing to work with you, I'm just telling you right now, guys, I am an awesome buyer, and I'm not someone who buys from your shop one time. I'm a consistent buyer, and when I do buy, I buy in tonnage. I mean, like I said, a lot of these shops, I probably lay out a grand in a single purchase. So, it might be $200 today, it might be $300 the next day. So a lot of these sellers, they don't really realize when they kind of like spurn me like that, what they're giving up. But again, it's not about it's not that type of video. Now, this video is in regards to this type of quality. So as I mentioned, eBay in 2022, sellers, I guess they just given up. They just don't care anymore, and it's very, for someone who buys consistently, I don't want to keep thinking that, this is the type of service I'm going to consistently get, because then I'm going to have to leave the platform, and I really don't want to do that, because I really enjoy, the things that I'm able to find and purchase off eBay. But if they had just super glued this head on, maybe even super glued the arm, I get it. It's got this magnet on here, which I don't understand. Why would you do that? But if they could find someone to super glue the arm and magnet it together, and this was stationary, it didn't move, you know what? I would have been cool with that. But this magnet is just terrible. But those are some of the businesses that I've done, that I've purchased a lot from, over the months and spent a fortune at. And with the service being as poor as it's been, it just sucks. And then you've got those buyers or those sellers that I buy from on a consistent basis. People I bought from 10 million times. And regardless, it could be a little $3 purchase. It could be a $300 purchase. Their service is always phenomenal. They always get your shipment out immediately. They always carefully package your product. They always respond to you in a timely fashion. Just absolute amazing sellers. And, and that's also what I want to do. I just don't want to complain about my bad experiences. I also want to, give a shout out to, the shops that, truly deserve, my patronage, and they've done just a phenomenal job. So these are, I have a longer list here of some of my favorite shops. So one is MK Riz 4. That recently, I bought an absolute tonnage of those Jack Specific collector superstars. collectibles. So I absolutely love those, and it looks like he's moving over to some different items now. But always a fantastic experience, no matter what happens. Move over Swanson, one of my absolute favorite sellers on the entire platform. I've talked about his shop, consistently when I've done my LJN tournaments. Um, just a fantastic buyer. I mean, or a fantastic seller. It doesn't matter what you're getting. LJN 8-inch rubbers. If you're getting the 4-inch bendy rubber figures. I mean, he sells a bunch of other stuff as well, but those are, the LJN figures are basically what I come back for on a consistent basis. So move over Swanson, and another seller. I call them the two Andrews. You have Andrew Sable, move over Swanson, and then you have Andrew Todd Martin, and of course his namesake is also his screen name on eBay, who's also getting into LJNs now as well. But to me, he's just been this amazing Hasbro dealer, one of my absolute favorites. A shop that I've been buying from a lot lately. It's called Vinyl Vish, Vinyl Vish. Absolutely fantastic shop. Love it. All those wrestling, what do they call it? Legends of wrestling, with the little blood and gore and stuff on the packaging. The guy's absolutely amazing. And I bought another thing here and there, but non wrestling related. Wolfgang 2399. One of the first buyers or one of the first sellers I've actually purchased from, and I bought a lot from him over the months. Not as much as I would have when I first started, but I mean, enough to where the experience is always positive. The Javelin 00 Mark, he does another great job. This one, I don't know how to pronounce this one. I call it Stanger GQ. Medallion 99. Another guy I deal with, Mark. He's fantastic. This seller is from Canada. It's called Blaine, Blaine RO or Blaine RO. So if you are willing to pay the extra money for shipments from Canada, and you're looking for some great priced LJN figures, phenomenal seller. Absolutely love his shop as well. So again, this video isn't all about the negatives. I also want to give shout outs to some of my favorite shops, and I'm sure there's other shops that I've purchased from on a consistent basis and spend a fortune at, but these are definitely some of the top businesses. I mentioned Wrestling Writer 100 gazillion times, as being one of, if not my all-time favorite seller. And so I mean, eBay it has its sellers that do really great work, and then you have those that they're more interested in turning their profits than their customers. And Crumb's Closet, I'm sorry, this was terrible. And like I said, they pretty much rather take the negative feedback than to have to return something like this. I think she is working with me to try to get this returned, but horrible. One thing I was super looking forward to, this little dual Nintendo Super Nintendo system. I did have one of my own. For whatever reason, it no longer works. So I bought another one of these. And it's obviously better to buy a Nintendo Super Nintendo dual set than just Nintendo by itself, and up probably paying the same amount of money. So doesn't turn on again. I've gotten so many in the last couple weeks. I probably requested. Well, I just requested a return on that system and this figure. And knowing me, I never request returns ever. No matter how dissatisfied with the product I am, I don't do it. But I'm getting to a point where I'm just becoming so overwhelmed and so frustrated with the poor quality of products and shipments from sellers this year that I think I'm going to start being a little bit more hard-nosed or hard-pressed with how I deal with a lot of sellers. Because otherwise, they'll just keep taking advantage of people, and I hate that. I always try to, do my best to be as open and honest with buyers when they're looking at my store. And I have one buyer that kind of irritated me recently. Submitted an offer for a product I accepted, way below what I was asking for it. Then decided to follow up with the question, which I answered in its entirety. Then decided come back the next day or so, 2 days later, that he didn't want it. Come on, guys. I mean, make that commitment. That's all I'm saying. If you're gonna, you could have asked me the question. I could have answered it, and we could have gone from there. If you decided you didn't want it, I understand. Good luck finding the product that you need. But when you submit an offer, that tells me that you absolutely want it. I mentioned, submitting an offer for the two earthquake resin figures. Now realizing that the red earthquake was a earthquake and not a typhoon. I've already committed to both of them, so when they're both approved, what was I gonna say? No, I don't want this red one. Which, I mean, again, they're both spectacular, so I loved having both of them anyways. So to me, maybe not the best example, but at the same time, that's what I'm talking about. If you commit to something, definitely stick with it. As a seller, especially as a seller who cares about my buyers, to be kind of treated like that way, it's kind of a slap in the face. So I don't know how long I want to make this video. Again, these type of rants, I don't think this is something I want to be part of my channel on a regular basis. But it did touch me to a point where I felt like the need I had to make a video about it. And again, I think when I make my next video, I'm probably going to go back to the basics. Anyone that has watched these videos or subscribed to this channel they're here because they want to look at the figures, and that's really what this channel thus far has been all about. The little tournaments and my favorite collectibles. And so I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to the happier times. So I don't know, because I'm kind of all out now. So I can't do my favorite LJN tournament. I mean, that video, 27 videos worth, it was fun. Let's call it what it was. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. And I still go back and I watch my own videos. And I was always kind of nervous that maybe I didn't have the most, enthusiastic, response to my figures, or, didn't really have the most information or something. Maybe I'm biased because it's me making the videos, but I absolutely love watching those. And of course, I mentioned, guys, I absolutely love watching those my favorite LJN tournaments, and people talking about the different LJN and Hasbro series and whatnot. Got a lot of pleasure from that. And obviously, when it went away, when nobody else was making videos anymore, hey, it was fun. I want to do it just to give it a try, and absolutely loved it. And I kept going, and here I'm at almost 50 videos now, which is crazy to think that I've made it that far. And I do want to give a shout out to my subscribers. So it's kind of weird. I guess subscribers on YouTube, it's kind of like having kids. And I'll let you know what I mean with that. So essentially, back in December, right before I was getting ready to deploy to Iraq, I was watching some content maker. I was watching a lot of the 80s revolution, new 80s revolution. I don't know if that's who it was. It could have been someone else. I mean, again, I did watch other things, but so they were talking about, like, oh man, 59 subscribers. I'm super excited. 62 subscribers. Oh man, I'm through the roof. And I'm like, I kind of looked at that like, and this was like 5-6 years ago, so it's not anything recent. And I'm like, man, you're excited over 60 subscribers? Come talk to me when you get to 1 million. And then I'm like, you know what? Maybe because, I didn't make content on YouTube. Yeah, I really didn't appreciate how important that was, or how special it was to have, a certain amount of subscribers. It's like having kids. When parents bring, photos and they show off their newborn babies to their coworkers, you don't really get an appreciation for, wanting to, show pride in your kids unless you become a new parent and you want to do the same thing. So when I started YouTube and I started making these counts, and now that I've seen the subscriber list kind of raise up, and I'm like, holy crap, when I got to 10 subscribers, like, dude, I know exactly how you are feeling now. And we're talking 5 or 6 times more than what I have now. And, I finally have a great appreciation for, for each new subscriber. And I think that's pretty amazing. And of course, for the folks that have left, comments, definitely thank you. Even the smallest comment, trust me, it lightens up my day, and I really appreciate it, guys. So, I've done. I think I'm gonna go back to the my favorite list again. So we've done LJNs, we've done Hasbro's. What I want to do is work on customs now. Again, just like the original line, we already know who the winner is at number one. So I'll probably start from the bottom, work my way to the top. The number one figure will go first, and the number two will be second, so on. And because I have such an extensive collection from Wrestling Rider, I'm thinking, kind of doing like a Ram Treasures type video. I won't do all of the Wrestling Rider figures, but I'll probably pick out my top 10 that came from Wrestling Rider. Uh, I don't know if I could do my least favorite top 10 from Wrestling Rider because, one, I absolutely love all the figures. I mean, yeah, there are some that I like better than others, of course, but to say that they're my least favorite, that might be a little bit harsh. Um, yeah, I think that'll probably be on my next video. I'll do a video on Wrestling Riders top 10, or at least my personal top 10 favorites. And because the others, like, who was it? The Raider Nation, I have like four figures from them. Move over Swanson, I got one figure from him. I got another figure from XOX. Well, not XOX. I don't want to say XOX because there actually is an XOX. Another one from ZZZ, company. I don't know. So I think that would be a really fun video. It kind of takes away from the sting of a little rant video like this one. I don't know. I don't know if this was a rant per se, but it's not the fun video that I'm accustomed to making. So, and in fact, I think I'm gonna stop, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make that type of video next, and to me, it'd be a lot of fun. So I have an idea. Obviously, we know who number one is gonna be. Number two, I think it's kind of gonna be like the LJN Hogan. It doesn't necessarily have to be one of the final two customs that came from the LJN tournament. The number two, one of the last two customs, that number two figure could end up being number four, end up being number six, number 10. So I don't think it'll be that bad. I think it'll still be on my top 10 list. I don't know if it'll necessarily be number two though. But I guess I won't actually know until I pull them off the shelves and really, ponder how I want to set them, how I want to situate them. So I mentioned Bret Hart original or King Kong Bundy original. I thought both of them were going to be on my LJN list for top 10 favorites. I thought Bundy was going to be like number 7 or something, and it turns out neither he or Bret Hart were even on my top 10 list. So, when we think about the original two customs that were left over, Warrior and Bruiser Brody, Ultimate Warrior is an absolutely fantastic piece, one of my favorites, but do I necessarily put that one at number 2? And for sake of argument, just because it ended up in the last 2 doesn't mean it's my second favorite. It probably wouldn't even crack the top 10, but again, it's one of those things where we'll find out when we do pull them off the shelf and find out. All right, guys, that's probably what I'm going to do next. I'm going to start going downstairs. I'm going to pull those figures. I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to talk about them. Get back into the fun content. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'll see y'all soon.